Hey everybody, we are live. Welcome to another edition of Boston Straight Shooters. I'm one of the hosts, Steve, aka Negative Ned. Frank, hopefully, will be joining us shortly. He's running a little behind, so we'll do like we usually do and hold things down until he gets here. This is the show where we talk about Boston sports. We talk about the Bruins, the Celtics, the Red Sox, and the Patriots. Get you all caught up on the goings on over the past week, and I'm going to post the link so you guys can join the show. And we have a lot to talk about, uh, especially the Red Sox with their continued offensive issues. We have Patriots, the Patriots schedule coming out today, and we have the Celtics. There's a bunch of rumors floating around about them possibly trading either Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum. So we're going to dive into that, and we're gonna cover some Bruins news, and we're going to do that first momentarily. So let's kick things off. Let's talk about the Bruins. There's really not a lot going on with them now that they're playing golf. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen with them. But they did make a move today. They signed Robert Reichel to an extension, 1 year, $950,000. He was in, they made a trade for him with Vancouver during the season, and he started out in Providence. He came up and played a few games. He's got speed. He scored a few goals here and there, but overall, really not much of an impact. I think he's depth, obviously. So I would look for him starting in Providence next year again. So there's really not a lot there. So that Reichel extension signing comes courtesy of Danny Cannell, and I don't know what the future holds for some of the free agents that they have. Again, we've talked about Andrew Peak possibly walking away, and he should. Victor Arvidsson is a free agent now, and I think I don't want him back. I know he had a good year, he had 25 goals, but again, not just Don Sweeney now. Other teams fall in love with their guys, and they give them these outrageous contracts. And I've already said a number of times I don't want to see them give him, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, at whatever, 4, 5, 6 million a year. It'll hamper them later on down the road. I do want to mention that. Oh yeah, good point. We'll get to that in a second. Hold on, Danny. Arvidsson, I feel bad for him. He got hurt in Game 5, and he broke a rib and collapsed his lung. I have had a collapsed lung before. I know it's painful as hell, so I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So hopefully he's has speedy recovery. But again, I don't want to sign him because the age. And I'm going to talk about some of the other injuries. Charlie McAvoy had a hand injury, played with a broken hand. David Pastrnak played through a groin injury since November, and that's why at times he didn't look right. Hampus Lindholm played with a foot injury, and as I mentioned last week, Zadorov played with a torn MCL. So, the injuries always get revealed later on. And there's a good reason for that. Now I don't know what the policy is. I know that in the NFL they have a injury report that comes out every week, and if you try to circumvent the report, you get slapped and you get fined as whatever. But I'm not sure how it is in hockey, and rightfully so. They should not reveal what the injuries are. They can say upper body injury, lower body injury, not really say, and let the guys play, because otherwise they're going to target those. They're going to target those injuries. If people knew that McAvoy had a broken hand, they'd slash the hell out of him the whole time. So it's I'm fine with the injuries being revealed after the fact. Doesn't bother me at all. Let me do this real quick too. Speaking of slashing, Charlie McAvoy, if anybody remembers, in the last playoff game, got slew-footed by I think it was Zach Benson for Buffalo, and he was trying to go after him, and the referees kind of got in his way, and he took a 2-hand slash at the guy's shoulder, whatever, and he had a hearing, and he was suspended for 6 games for next year to open the year. I have said for a long time about the hits to the head and the elbows and the slashing and stuff like this, the stick swinging, that the league has to step in and put in stricter penalties and make them stick. I don't fault McAvoy for taking that swing. I would have done the same thing, and I would have took the suspension. But they can't just let it go and allow it, or everybody will keep doing it and it'll get worse. So the suspension is justified. I can guarantee if McAvoy was on the receiving end of that and, Benson didn't get a 6-game suspension, we'd be losing our freaking minds here. So I just think that they don't have a choice. I've long wanted them to, institute rules where if there's a hit to the head like an elbow or a stick, and I've been on here saying this numbers of times, I'll say it again, they should have 5, 10, 15, 20-game suspensions so that the players get the hint. Danny says that was Mac's 3rd suspension, which plays into the 6 games. Yep. Okay, so he has a history there. Very much like hold on a second. Very much like Brad Marchand, former Bruin Brad Marchand. Bear with me one second. What's going on with this? Okay. Some debris. All right. Pardon the interruption there. Again, I have cats, and they like to get into things they shouldn't get into or chase each other and whatever. The team mascots are getting in the way again. Put them in a box pretty soon. You listen, you'll be quiet over there. Anyway, yeah, the suspensions look, and you know what they do, which I don't like. Really, I don't like that they do it, but they do every once in a great while. Reduce the suspensions. Stop reducing the suspensions. Make them stick. It's 5 games, 6 games, whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if they reduced it to 5 or 4 or whatever. Even though he has that history, and I don't know if he's going to appeal it. I would say probably likely not if he's a repeat offender, but he might appeal it, and then they might shrink it down a little bit. That can happen too. So, again, really not a lot going on with the Bruins. They're going to have all kinds of stuff going on once the free agency period hits. Right now, Stanley Cup playoffs are going on, and they're on the golf course. So, we'll just have to wait and see. It's going to be a tough start for them next year if he's out with 6 games, depending upon what they can do to bolster the roster. Now, also, I do know that the salary cap is going up. It was at $95 million this year. It's going up to $104 million. That's an extra $9 million. I'm not sure what kind of room the Bruins have right now. I think they have about $16 million in cap space, 16 or 18. I forget exactly what the number is. but they have to use it wisely. And as we already mentioned, they have to fix the defense, and they have to get some goal scoring up front. Danny says that there's a rumor that they may go after Kyrou from the Blues. I'm guessing he makes probably about $8 million a year at least. If he's a scorer, they have to find a way to upgrade up front, obviously. And I don't know what position he plays. Danny, if you can get that for me real quick, that'd be great. I don't know if he's a winger or a center, but they need both. They need a number one center, and they need a secondary right winger behind Pastrnak to help them score goals. That's what I want for them. And honestly, I don't care who they trade, other than Pastrnak, to get it. So he brings speed. That's another thing. Danny and I, you mentioned that. I wouldn't be surprised at them going after him, because Cam Neely said in the press conference last week that they needed more speed and they needed more talent. So if they could pull off a trade there for a guy that's younger, speedy, and helps them out, then that would be phenomenal. So again, not really a lot going on with the Bruins. We have a lull for them between now and July, when free agency hits. And now that he's here, Frank is here. Let's bring him in. Let me do this first. Hold on one second. Let's get rid of that. Frank.
Hey, how you doing, Steve? What's going on?
I'm good. How you doing?
All right.
So we just wrapped up our Bruins minute. There's really not a lot going on other than really Charlie McAvoy getting suspended for 6 games for a slash in the last playoff game. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that real quick.
No, I don't. I've been listening to him talk about it on the radio a couple of days. Seems like a lot of people have some stuff to say. I don't even want to jump on the bandwagon because I don't even know what the slash means, like, to that extent. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Long story short, he took his stick and swung it at a guy, hit him in the shoulder. And
Mhm.
that's a slash when you hit the guy with your stick like that. All right. Close enough. All right. So where would you like to go next?
Oh my God, there's so much to talk about here. I'm looking at your stuff. I'll let you decide today. How about you? You can decide.
You know what I want to do? I want to get into the Celtics.
Okay. All right,
because I need your input here. I want to make sure we give it enough time.
Okay.
Lots of trade rumors, obviously, about the Celtics trading for Giannis Antetokounmpo, if that's how you pronounce his name. I'm not going to try to butcher it.
Yeah.
And trading one of either Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum. And I just want to get your feedback on what you think about that.
So, they've been talking about this for 14, maybe 21 days. You know what I mean? Like, heavily since the Celtics lost after this, the Sixers, and I've been hearing a lot of speculation about this. And Steve, I got to be honest. When I hear these guys on sports talk radio talk about this in Boston, and I hear people call up and talk about it, it drives me nuts. It really drives me nuts, because as I posted on my social media platform, Giannis hasn't played a full season in the last 4 years. He just hasn't done it. You know what I mean? He hasn't done that. He's injured. He's very much injury prone. Jaylen Brown, whether you like him or not and everything else, he's played the majority of all the games the last 4 seasons. He's younger. He's a great scorer. Giannis is obviously, he'd be a better player, but he's not on the field. And we always know the best ability is availability. You know what I mean? So when I hear that question, I think of, would I rather have Jaylen Brown for a full season or Giannis for possibly a half a season? I don't see him coming to, no matter what team he goes to, I don't see him playing a full season. I don't care where it is. And if it's me, I want my all-stars to play together. Let's say we get Giannis. Let's just go through the trade process. Let's say we get Giannis. And now we're heading into another playoff run, a heavy playoff run. And then we end up in the same situation we did season before last with KP, Kristaps Porzingis, and he gets injured and everything else. Now we're heading into, the playoffs with the team we should beat, but because we don't have a big piece in our lineup, now we lose another playoff. So what does that do? It tanks a whole nother season versus having Jaylen Brown, who's not as great as Giannis, but he drives to the basket. He's a great scorer. He has been Eastern Conference MVP. He has been a great player. He has played. He's been in an MVP conversation himself. And you have him. Chances are 95% of you will have him available for the playoffs. So that's what I hear when I hear, would you have Jaylen Brown or you rather have Giannis? You know what I mean? That's what I hear. Now, if you used to tell me, Steve, that we'd have Giannis and he'd be healthy for the full season, and would we rather have Jaylen Brown for the yes, of course, I would take Giannis, for the full season. But that's not going to happen. It's not, and I don't want Giannis for a half a season. I want him for a full season, and I don't want him to play almost all season next season if we get him, and then he gets injured. Let's say he gets injured and has a nagging injury March or April, heading into June into the playoffs. So that's what I hear. So when everybody else says that to me, hey, would you rather? There's elements to it of what I hear when I hear that question. You know what I mean? It's the same kind of money. For me, Giannis would be better going to another team that can withstand him getting hurt and playing. That's what I hear to me. Now, if he goes to any other team, I don't care. I don't think he'll be ready, and I think he'll have a nagging injury. He's had hamstring, calf issues, leg issues. He's had them for the last 4 years. So that's what I hear. Now, let me just say this also, Steve. I think the Celtics are going to make a trade. I think they're going to make a big splash. And I think they're going to make a big splash, and I think they're going to keep both the Jays. I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm sure you have the statistics laid down there around you of how much money they have, because I read somewhere they have $47 million that they can play with. They have the TPE exemption, too, that they can play with. I think they're going to make a trade and do something and make a splash along with what they have that no one's thinking. Because Brad Stevens is not the guy, he doesn't do the obvious. You know what I mean? Now, you tell me what you think, Steve, because at the end of the day, do you remember when we got KP and when we got Drew Holiday? No one saw that coming. No one saw it coming. Oh, wow. Okay, we got Drew Holiday, and that happened after we got Kristaps Porzingis, you know what I mean? And within the span of 2 or 3 weeks. Right around this time, actually, is when it happened. Mm-hmm. So there's that. And the other thing is the Celtics haven't been out of the playoffs this early in the last 8 years. You know what I mean? So, they're going to get their guys back to come play much better, because they have more time off to work on stuff they have to work off on. And I think Brad has never had this much money to really work with either. So what do you tell me what you think is going to happen?
Well, I think because they had to have the fire sale last year, he's got less money to work with because they don't want to pay over those aprons with the new owner. That's a slight problem. I think you already know they definitely need a big guy. They have to change what they're doing, and I'm not trying to run any of them guys out of town. I like them both, but I have a funny feeling. Let me ask you this: based on Jaylen Brown's commentary after they lost, and he said this was his best season, his most favorite season.
I hate hearing this. I hear this.
Well, listen, he has a right to his opinion. I'm not saying he doesn't, right? Obviously.
I'm not saying he doesn't either.
How are these guys going to coexist if he wants to be number one? You can't. You have Batman and Robin. Jayson Tatum's Batman. He's Robin. You can't have two Batmans. How do they fix that?
Well, first of all, you're looking at it wrong. That's the way you're coming at it, and you're looking at it completely wrong. He's saying, in my opinion, everybody has their own interpretation. He's saying it was his best year because he had the most fun and he was able to put up the most numbers. He wasn't saying it as a detriment to Jayson Tatum. He was saying it's like this is his first season with the Celtics where everyone from 1 to 15, they showed huge growth, and he was part of that growth, and he was part of a team that was able to do very, very well. He wasn't saying it as a slight to Jayson Tatum and he wants to be the only Batman.
That's the way it comes off.
That's the way it comes off because that's the way people are interpreting it. In my opinion, I don't think he was saying that at all. I watched the stream. To me, when he was saying that in the stream of the whole stream, because everybody out there in Boston, they're running off the clips of what's being put out. In the whole stream, he started out the conversation by saying, and this was his first statement he said was, I really enjoyed playing this year with the Celtics because everyone showed their most growth. We had guys, he's mentioned Kata, he mentioned Jordan Walsh, he mentioned all these guys. He saw more growth with everybody from 1 to 15 on the team that he had with any season since he's been a Celtic. That's the way I interpret it because I heard the whole thing. He was saying, I enjoyed being part of that group because that whole group got to grow and I was part of that. He wasn't saying, hey, I want to be the only Batman and I want to be the only guy here. And this is my funnest season because of that. That's not what he was saying. But of course, the media spins a certain thing and they put this out. And if you don't watch the stream and you don't hear what he's saying and it was a long stream. And if you're not hearing what he's saying from the beginning to the end, that's the way you're going to interpret it. You know what I mean? So
do you think he would have felt the same way if Jayson Tatum was healthy the whole year?
Yes, I think he would have, because it wasn't about Jayson Tatum. It was about the players from 1 to and again, in the same stream, he mentioned Kata's growth. He mentioned Jordan Walsh's growth. He mentioned what's the other kid who was a
Shyman.
Shyman. He mentioned
Hugo Gonzalez too.
He mentioned Hugo Gonzalez. He was great. He was happy about Hugo's growth coming in as a rookie. He talked about that. Again, my point I'm trying to say is everybody's trying to put out their own spin. I really hate this, is because if you don't watch the whole thing, you're gonna run with the clip, because it sounds one way if you just hear the 3-minute clip versus if you sat there and played the whole 3 hours of what he was talking about. You know what I mean? Because that whole stream of what he was talking about was this Celtics team showed so much promise and had so much growth from all the guys. He really singled out Kata too, because Kata was one of the guys how he started talking about, because his growth. You saw to see Kata was one guy last year. Then he goes in the summer league, and then he goes and plays overseas, for his home country, and then he comes back and he's like a different guy. That's what he was talking about. Yeah, nothing to do with him.
Listen, I was all over Cato. I wanted him to get the shot to be the starting center, and I think he was good all year long. I mean, forget the playoffs part of it, but I mean, he did actually, absolutely show growth. I thought he was good, especially the second half.
Yeah, he was.
So, I guess I'm frustrated because we've been doing the same thing, and Joe Mazzulla refuses to change. So how are they going to get him to change what they're doing? Because they don't have the personnel for that.
Yeah,
how are they going to get a big guy that can help them?
And that, again, that's another problem. And that's what I think Brad Stevens is going to focus on, because there's a couple of guys who are free agents, there are a couple of guys who are available, and there's a couple of guys who you could do trading. But if I'm Brad Stevens, I get Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau's sitting out there unemployed. He's one of the best coaches in the league when he was coaching. He couldn't get the Knicks to do what he wanted to do when he was at the Knicks because he didn't have the talent. You know what I mean? The most talented player on the Knicks was Jaylen
Brunson.
Jaylen Brunson. He was the most talented guy there. If he comes to the Celtics, back to the Celtics as the head coach, and he has all this stuff to work, he has Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Derek White and Neemias Queta and Baylor Shyman. Now he's working with somebody. Okay, if you can't score tonight, and you can score, you know what I mean? He has something that he can drive in. That's what I would do. To me, listen, I Joe Mazzulla as a guy, I like him a lot as an individual. I like him a lot, what he talks about and everything else. I just don't think he's a playoff type of coach. You know what I mean? I think he's great with when he sets a team up to how to play and everything else. But I've screamed, you heard me say this many times. Many games during the season, I was screaming at my TV because he doesn't make in-game adjustments. He just doesn't do it. He drives me nuts. And if he had, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about the Celtics right now. We'd probably be talking about the Celtics and playing the Sixers, and they still be in the playoffs, or they probably might beat they might have won, or they might have lost. It's something we'll never know. But because he didn't make in-game adjustments, the Celtics looked terrible at the end of the Sixers, and then the Sixers get swept by the Knicks. So everybody assumes, okay, the Celtics would have been terrible against. We don't. It's something you never know. You know what I mean? You never know. So, I mean, I go on and on about this. It drives me nuts, because that's just the way people out there, they want to put out a certain type of narrative, and they did the same thing with Jaylen Brown 3 years ago. Then he ends up winning a championship. Then they lose last year to the Knicks. And what happens when they lose to the Knicks? Nobody even focuses on them, because the big topic then is Jayson Tatum got injured. And then we get to the playoffs this year. And because we didn't move forward past the Sixers, everybody's okay, we got to break them. It's the same thing all over again. It's the same talk all over again, which is insane, because that's not the issue. That's not the problem. But I don't know. What I don't know. I know you wanted to talk about something else with the Celtics, so I don't know. It's just splitting up the Jays is not the answer to me. Splitting up the Jays is not the answer.
I just want to say that Joe Mazzulla is really frustrating as hell, because he won't change. And what's more frustrating is during the regular season, when they didn't have Jayson Tatum, he did adjust better when the threes were going in.
Not really.
Not all the time, but I'm just saying he was better at. They took less threes. They were taking 38, 39. Playoffs 46, 54.
Okay.
It's like he went back to his old thing.
Yeah, but you're bringing up a great point. During the season, instead of with the playoffs, because when playoffs happen, everybody's butt cheeks get tighter. But during the season, Jaylen Brown took over a lot of games, and he put it upon himself to drive to the basket more, and they won more games. It wasn't Joe Mazzulla drawing up the plays. It was in game. Whenever Joe Mazzulla drew up a play, 9 times out of 10, what he would do was draw up a play, a high pick and roll. It was somebody shooting a three whenever they came out of a timeout. That's what Joe Mazzulla should be drawing the plays. And if you look it up, if you can find a statistic, I watched the games. I saw him do it all the time. And I'd be on my phone with my friend Kareem and say, Kareem, here we go. And again, and I used to call all the time. High pick and roll to the right, high pick and roll to the left. Somebody going to shoot a three out of a timeout. That's Joe Mazzulla plays. But during in game, when everything got tight, Jaylen Brown would command the ball. He'd get the ball. And then he would drive to the basket, which is the reason why he complained about not getting foul called, because when they lost that game to San Antonio, he was driving to the basket and he got pushed out of bounds. You know what I mean?
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. I saw that.
You're right. And the same thing happened when they were playing OKC, except they won that game. You know what I mean? When they were making some slightly in-game adjustments, possibly, but when Jaylen Brown was the captain taking over, they were beating certain teams because he was driving to the basket more often instead of calling plays. You know
and
what I
I
mean?
felt they were better for that. I felt
were.
the style was better. It was better overall. It was better for him. It was better for the team. And it was less of Joe Mazzulla's imprint with the threes. And then as soon as they got the 3-1 lead and it started to get hot, he went right back to the old, drawing board. Yeah, that's extremely annoying. They never should have lost a 3-1 lead.
Steve, they were up game. They were 3-1 lead. They were winning the other game. They were up by 13 points in the fourth quarter, and they went and shot 15, 16 straight three. Meanwhile, Philly's going down scoring. They should have won that game and closed the series out. They lose that game, they lose the next game, they lose the next game, and here we are.
Extremely frustrating, extremely annoying. I know that they did this before he left. Tom Thibodeau was an assistant, and he was like the defensive guru type guy.
Yep.
Would you bring him back as an assistant, or just not do that and have him as the head coach, or would you elevate Sam Cassell as the head coach?
See, that's a great question, because what I would do is I probably would elevate Sam Cassell because I think Sam and Joe Mazzulla probably bickered a lot, about this thing. And you could see Sam Cassell getting frustrated on the bench after certain things, but and then you can see Sam leaning into and Joe's just stoic. Joe's stoic because he's probably telling him, let's take it to, he's probably saying, I would do this here. And Joe's not listening. So I would probably bring Tom Thibodeau in as an assistant coach, give Sam Cassell the upgrade, and see what run it and see what happens. What you got? And
I like that.
Yeah, and if because you'll still keep the same defensive intensity, right? You're keeping the same face of what your offense is, because Sam Cassell is now there. You know what I mean? He's not going to make too many changes, except he's going to call in-game adjustments, and he's going to make better adjustments during the game. And if that doesn't work, then you can fire Sam Cassell, and then you could up Tom Thibodeau. That's what I would do. You know what I mean? But Brad Stevens Joe Mazzulla is Brad Stevens' guy. They go back years, so it's not going to happen.
I know, it's frustrating. We're gonna have to. I'm gonna be yelling at my TV again, like you. We got the angry emojis are gonna be flying every time they shoot 53s in a game.
But I do think this: if he gets fired, if the Celtics don't get to the finals next year, he's gonna get fired. You know what I mean? I think he gets fired. So, but we'll see.
If Brad Stevens does what you said and pulls the KP and
Drew Holiday,
if he pulls guys like that out of a rabbit out of a hat and improves the roster, and they don't make it that far, at least get to the finals, they have to make a change. I don't see how you can, whether he's this guy or not. And the other thing I keep hearing on sports radio, and I'm sure you've heard it a gazillion times, is that Mazzulla is Tatum's guy. Yep. And so if you got rid of Mazzulla, what would that do to Tatum? Would he get sour? Would he get mad? How would that play out?
Well, I don't think I think he'd get mad, because by the time they sit him down, they're gonna say, "Listen, we had to make a change because you're getting older. Your contract is huge. You're getting older. We've got to make a change to get to the finals." He's not making in-game adjustments. These are things he should be making. And some of the plays that you're doing is like, I don't want to say Jayson Tatum is the problem, but he was a reason why we lost also, because he kept jacking up a lot of threes too. This dude is 6'10". And if you give him a shot A or shot B, he'll jack up a three faster than he would drive the basket.
Instead of driving the basket. He's better when he drives the basket. He really is, because he can shoot free throws. If he can get 10, 12, 14 free throws in a game, that's butter for him.
Steve, Jayson Tatum is top 3 best guys in the league driving the basket. Top 3. Matter of fact, you could say SGA and then Jayson Tatum driving the basket to the hole. You know what I mean? So that's what I would have him do. Have him shooting, stopping at the, getting the pass, do a play at the top of the key, and then, hey, let me shoot a 3. I would, and then shoot it 15 times a game, and you're missing 7, 8 of them or 9 of them. I'd be going bananas. I like, dude, will you drive the basket? I would be sitting there and go. You have the lane wide open, and then you make everybody better and the team better around you when you keep driving the basket because you have 3-point shooters all around you. You drive the basket, kick it out, somebody's gonna hit a 3. You know what I mean? If they don't collapse on you, now you got an easy layup. Either way, you win more games. You know what I mean? You're helping out the other team when you jack up more threes and your ass is 6'10". You know what I mean? That's what I get mad about. But let's move on. Because we can talk about, we can talk about the Celtics for an hour. Because
I have more questions, but we'll move on. But we'll have to save it for next show.
Okay.
We'll move on. Patriots or Red Sox? How about Red Sox?
Oh my God.
I'm ready to jump all over them.
Oh my God. Because I saw something about the Red Sox. Did you see the guys with the bags in the head?
We're going there right now, Frank. I saw those, and unfortunately, my wife threw my bag away that I had from before, and so I was going to wear it, and I went to look for it, and I think she tossed it out on me. But yeah, so here's the thing: A, it's funny as hell, but B, they were either asked to remove the bags or they were asked to leave, and I don't like that. I think that's bullcrap. And I have a story. For you about that later when we get to the end of this. But I want to get your thoughts on how you feel about these guys wearing the bags, and whether they should have been ejected or not.
Well, I think they are. Listen, you're a fan. You pay your money. You should be able to wear a bag over your head. But they literally have the right to wear their bags over their head because of one simple fact. This Red Sox team is the lowest Red Sox team since the 1917 Red Sox. I heard them say that on the radio.
I heard it.
I almost had a car accident. I was like, "Are you serious? Like, that's what you're talking about?" Since the 1917 Red Sox, so that beats out the Red Sox garbage teams of the 70s, the Red Sox garbage teams of the 80s, a few of them in the 90s. And those were some pretty bad teams, but even the team that was managed by what's the guy's name? Oh my God!
Oh, Bobby Valentine.
You mean
that was awful?
You mean even worse than Bobby Valentine Red Sox? Yes, yes. The Bobby Valentine Red Sox was almost 3-1. They scored more points and I looked that part up. I couldn't believe that. So yes, the fans should be allowed to wear bags over their heads. And you know what? If they kick out a couple of fans, that should make more fans do it because the Red Sox absolutely suck, Steve. They're terrible. But even though they won today, but they're terrible. But they won against another lousy team. So they should have beat this team. You know what I mean? The Phillies. They should have beat the Phillies. But
listen, I'm with you. I think as long as it's within reason and it's not vulgar or
right.
It's not personal attacks against anybody. We've talked about this before.
Right.
They absolutely should be allowed to wear a bag over their head. And I was laughing because, I agree with you. I would laugh if more people just showed up and they wore them. But I don't know how they would get them in. But let me mention this real quick before we move on. Do you remember when Will Cordero beat his wife with the phone?
No, I don't remember that.
It was in the 90s. It was late 90s. Will Cordero, the outfielder, he beat his wife with the telephone. And, he got, I don't know if he got fined or suspended or whatever, but I ended up going to a game with a friend of mine and we made posters and we each had one of those big giant poster things. And one of them said, "Hey, Will, hit the ball." And the other one said, "Not your wife."
Oh, wow.
And so we moved because back then they weren't selling out the way they were, and he was playing left field, so we were in right field. We moved all the way over to the bleachers on the left field line over there and held it up while he was there in left field, and the security girl came over and took him away. She took the signs away. And this was in the 90s. And I found out later on, which I didn't know, this was on 1990, it was 97 because that's the year I met my wife. I found out that we actually made it onto ESPN.
Really?
On SportsCenter, yeah. But I didn't see it. I missed it. So, yep. Hey, Will, hit the ball, not your wife. Made it on ESPN, and I didn't get to see it.
That's hysterical. I'd have taped that on the VHS or something.
Dude, if I had seen it on ESPN and I had the VCR, I would have recorded that. Absolutely. And you can never find that now. But, and I want to mention real quick because it's not the first time that people have had bags over their heads. Last year, the Reds fans were doing it. The Yankees had fans last year with bags over their heads, and a Pirates season ticket holder also had a bag over his head, and he was asked to remove it from his head while he was attending a game. So, it's not just the Red Sox. I mean, imagine the Yankees were in first place, and you had people there wearing bags on their head. What the hell? I mean, that's insane.
Well, they're used to winning, so you know how it is when you're used to winning.
I know, but I mean, imagine being in first place and having somebody still show up with bag on their head. That's hysterical. Wait till they get to last place.
Yeah.
All right. Aside from them being awful on offense, and I heard this the other day, they've scored 18 runs in the last 10 home games.
Yeah, I saw that.
Their offense is absolutely pathetic. I mean, they're batting .235 as a team. They can't generate runs. They're swinging and missing at everything. Last night's game, Zach Wheeler threw 16 pitches and got 9 outs. The first 3 innings.
That's terrible. He
had like 6 pitches, 4 pitches, 8 pitches. I'm like, well, you guys are making it easy. It's almost like the Red Sox don't want to be there on offense. They don't want to be there. They just want to swing and go home. Like,
isn't the batting coach the only one they kept from Alex Cora?
No, he got fired too.
He did? Oh, okay. I thought
the only guy they kept was the first base coach.
That's it.
And the pitching coach and his staff, because Breslow's tight with Andrew Bailey. So go ahead.
So I'm going to ask you, do you think if Alex Cora was still managing the Red Sox, do you think they'd still be this bad, or do you think they would have gotten better by now?
No, I think they'd still be this bad because they don't have talent, Frank.
Yeah, I know.
And, I've been on this, and I'm going to keep being on it. The driveline guys that they are backing and that they have teaching these guys this uppercut launch angle nonsense. And Alex Cora's not built that way. He's like, okay, I have a bunch of punch and Judy hitters. We need to hit singles and doubles. I need to teach these guys how to hit. And then they're coming over and be like, no, we don't teach it that way. So there's this going on between Breslow and Cora. Cora is trying to manage to win, and Breslow is trying to put this nonsense in with these guys. And it doesn't work.
I don't know how you fix it either without getting rid of everybody and starting over.
I think what's going to have to happen is John Henry at the end of the year is going to have to pull the trigger on Craig Breslow and fire all the driveline people and get them all out of here and get a manager. Look, analytics are important to an extent, but they shouldn't be the whole shebang. And that's what these guys are doing now. They're making the analytics the whole shebang, and they're not using fundamentals anymore. That's the problem. There's no fundamentals at the plate. And this is league-wide now because I didn't realize that half the league is using driveline.
Yeah, they are. I heard that on the radio too.
And it's awful. I mean, it's brutal. And some guys, you may be able to use that. Ohtani was there and used the driveline stuff. Fine. You can have a handful of guys like that, but everybody's doing it. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I watch baseball. Every lineup the Red Sox play against, they also have guys that are hitting 178, 190 something. And they're regular starting guys, and it's accepted. You would never see – listen, go back to the 80s and 90s when you had one guy that would hit under 250. The shortstop for Baltimore rings a bell with me, Mark Belanger. He would hit like 208 or 220.
And he'd be bad. Yeah.
But he had a gold glove, so they tolerated it because the rest of the lineup could account for it and make up the slack. You can't have 4 or 5 guys hitting 170, 180, 200. They have 5. The Red Sox have 4 or 5 guys hitting 200 or less. That's horrible. That's not even AAA. That's AA. That's where they're at right now. And so he's going to get blown out of here, and rightfully so. And I hope John Henry fires all the driveline guys. And they gotta change their philosophy completely. I'm not a fan of this at all. It doesn't work. Listen, it's one thing if you have a thumper that's a 35, 40 home run guy like Devers. It's another guy when you have Caleb Durbin, who they got from Milwaukee, who's hitting, a $170, and he's got 1 home run, and they're trying to turn him into a 25 home run guy. You can't do that.
I agree.
And so let me get to this before we move on. I'm sure you heard about this. Jaren Duran went after Michael Hawley. Michael Hawley came on his show a couple nights ago and said that the Red Sox, and he said basically all teams lie about the injuries and that they're lying about. God, I'm drawing a blank on his name. The young kid there, the rookie, has a wrist injury. He's out now. I can't think of his damn name. Right. And Michael Hawley said, look, they're lying. All teams lie, blah, blah. Well, Jaren Duran went and made a post on Instagram, and he said, I can't believe they let people on TV like this and put the clown emoji there and whatnot. And then he deleted the post because he started getting flack for it. I think, listen, this guy's in a bad place. He's barking up the wrong tree.
When you say this guy, what guy are you talking about?
I'm talking about Duran. Duran's barking up the wrong tree. Dude, worry about yourself. Don't worry about what people are saying on sports radio or TV or any of that. And they all deny that they listen to it or that they read about it. Yeah. But they definitely do. And this is a case. And this guy right now, and I he turned it around for a little bit, but right now he's going the other way. And, don't forget, earlier in the year, a month ago, he flipped off a fan in either Minnesota or Detroit because the guy told him to go kill himself, and he gave the guy a gesture. Like, look, he needs to figure it out and focus on.
Yeah, but that was wrong. What the guy said, because
I totally agree that the guy was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, that crossed the line. So this is what I was talking about earlier when it gets personal, right?
Yeah.
That's definitely crossing the line. That's way out of bounds. But let's get your expert take on him going after Michael Hawley, because I think that's wrong too.
My expert take? My expert take is simple. Michael Hawley has been around in Boston sports for 25, 30 years. He knows what he's talking about. He's not just spouting off to say one thing Michael Hawley does. And if you know, and I know Michael Hawley, I know Michael. And one thing I know about him is he doesn't go out on a limb and just say ridiculous statements. He'll say some stuff because he knows for a fact of what it is. You know what I mean? And he can be bombarded with all kinds of different things. Like, he can be bombarded with people making all kinds of simple comments, but he's been around the business for a very, very long time. You know what I mean? And to be a black man writing sports in the Boston area, he's dealt with that issue too. And I'm bringing that up for a purpose too, because years ago they were trying to discredit him, talking about that he didn't know sports. So, he's listen, this guy is thorough. He's one of the thorough sports writers. And for him to say that means he's come across, and I thought this when I saw the post too, he must know about it from happening with a lot of players in all the sports for a long time, and specifically with baseball. He wouldn't just rattle it off just to rattle it off. You know what I mean? He's not that kind of guy. So Jaren Duran is barking up the wrong tree when you wanted to come after Michael Hall. And that's what he felt the heat from, because he probably felt the heat from all the sports and people who are in sports media overall coming after him, because he didn't, Jaren Duran's a young guy. This kid's what, 21, 22?
29.
Oh, he is? Okay. Well, he's still a young kid. He should know better. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he should know better. Like, you shouldn't, these sports, right? Like these Bob Ryan guys who've been around, like Bob Ryan's been around almost 40 years. These guys, they're not just saying stuff just to say it. Granted, sometimes they come off a little bit harsh, but dude, you shouldn't even focus on that. You should be focused on hitting at the plate. You know what I mean? Because you're piss poor this year. But that's my expert take. Anyway, I'm looking at the time, so I'm ready. I'm waiting on you, Steve, so you can move us along.
Okay, one more Red Sox thought, real quick, if you don't mind.
Go on, Mike. Good.
What do you think about the Mike Trout rumors about him coming here?
I think it's hogwash. What about you?
I don't think they should do it because he's 34 years old. But if it means Duran and Bayo are gone, maybe they do. They need pop in their lineup. And to your point, he's another guy like Giannis. He can't stay healthy, so they can't pay a guy $35 million and he's playing 40 games and 100 games. He's got to play 140 games, or it's no good. So.
But also, we're talking about the Red Sox, Steve. Why would the Red Sox pay a boatload of money? They're not paying a boatload of money to anybody anymore. They're not doing it. So
no, they're not. There's that, and Mike Trout has a full no trade clause, so he can deny this trade. Why would he come here to a team that's in last place? He's in a team in last place that's in California where the weather's nice. Why would you come here where it's crappy and the fans are more ruthless? And they,
That's why I didn't even want to discuss this because it's absurd. I didn't even think it's worth bringing it up. But I understand people are talking about it. So yeah, let's talk. I understand. I get that. But Steve, you and I both know the Red Sox are not talk. This is another one of those things where the sports media guys drop it out there to create conversation so they can have something to talk about in their 4-hour shift. You know what I mean? This is one of the most ridiculous takes. Come on. It makes more sense for me if you say to me, the Yankees may get him, or maybe the Dodgers, or even
Phillies,
or the Phillies. That makes more sense. The Red Sox they're trying to get rid of everybody who's a big. They're not doing no more long contracts with big payouts. They're not doing it anymore. And I don't care anybody says the Red Sox are going the other direction, and they're doing that purposely because they don't want to pay out big contracts, especially to an injury-prone player. They're not doing it.
They're looking at a contract dispute with the players in the offseason. They're talking about a lockout or whatever strike.
Yeah, so they're not going to do that. And
they're not going to do that.
And that's why I think baseball will change after the season, because I think baseball overall, Major League Baseball, I think players will strike against MLB. I think they will. So. But anyway,
all right, let's move on to the Patriots schedule. Now, see, let me say this real quick. Mm-hmm. This is the stupidest freaking thing I've heard about. They announced that the schedule is going to come out on the 14th today at 8:00 on ESPN.
Yeah,
and then all week long, they got to drop in, this game's this, and this game's on this channel, and this game's this date, and this game. And so by the time you actually get to 8:00, I was watching the sports show here we always watch, right? NBC Sports Boston. They had the whole schedule already. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, I don't have to wait till 8:00 now. Good for me. I can go to bed after the show or whatever. I don't have to wait. Right. So first of all, did you see the Patriots schedule yet? If not, I won't spoil it for you.
No, you can tell me. I mean,
and if not, I was going to say, what do you think about the NFL, the way that they're dropping the games that are going to be the primetime games, and what's going to be on Netflix and what's going to be here and what's going to be there?
Well, I let me just talk about the Netflix stuff, because all the other stuff I don't really care about. That's not even worth really talk to me. It's not really that big of a deal, because everybody wants to promote what they're doing as soon as possible. But who really cares about that? But the stuff that I really am bothered by is with the NFL starting to add more games on Netflix. That's the part and I understand why it's happening. I get it, because you get people to watch. Somebody in Europe can click on, Netflix and watch the Patriots on regularly. Like if I travel to England and I'm out there for a week or two, I wouldn't see any Patriots games. But if I'm out there, and for 2 weeks and I click on my Netflix, I get to see New England Patriots play. So I'm not mad about that part. I understand it. These streamers offering, football worldwide as they're trying to get more worldwide schedule. As they got 17 games this year or no, 12 games this year. Of games playing overseas. I understand what they're trying to do. I get it, but that's my own biggest thing. I don't care about the schedule release like everybody else. I could care less. We're gonna find out anyway. But for me, the conversation really is like the Patriots are playing the Lions. You know what I mean? On prime, I think it's prime time.
They're in Germany.
Yeah, and it's game. That's the part that I'm like, I don't like that for them. You know what I mean?
I don't either.
I don't like it for them. I think it's possibly could be an L because of the travel, the preparation, leading up to that. And Detroit is a really good team. So I don't know. I'm more concerned. What we should be talking about is I'm more concerned about the Patriots' upcoming schedule, because since they were in the Super Bowl, their schedule is really, really tough. I think their first game is with Chicago. I don't know. Tell me.
No, their first game is with Seattle. And the game, they're actually, for some odd reason, starting on Wednesday, the 9th, instead of on Thursday. And so you get the Super Bowl rematch and you get the whole Vrabel-Rossini thing. That's the only reason I think that they're doing that, because Chicago was supposed to be picked to play against Seattle that game.
This is the first time, though, there's a Super Bowl rematch this early, though, isn't it? Like I haven't.
Yes, I'm pretty sure the last time was probably like 8 or 10 years ago. I think it was 2018 or 17 or something. It's been a while.
Well, I like our chances in game one.
I don't. So let me throw this at you, because I like numbers, and numbers don't lie. Yeah, and I also don't like eating crow, but I end up eating it anyway. The home teams in the season openers over the last 21 years are 16-5.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't bode well for the Patriots. I hope they win. I do, and I think that the changes that Seattle has made both on offense and defense, and losing their offensive coordinator, could hurt them in the early going. So we'll see.
It will hurt them. And when you change offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator,
and they lost their top running back.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, you are a worse team. You're worse. You look up the stat. The reason why I like it is because the Patriots overall got better, and they shored up a lot of weak points. And meanwhile, Seattle got worse, and in some aspects they got worse. In some aspects they stayed the same. So the parts that we got showed out, and we're going to show off when we play Seattle. You know what I mean? And then everybody's going to be running around here crazy because we just beat the Super Bowl champion, and that's the part that drives me nuts. Because relax, guys. A lot of teams that win the Super Bowl, the next game, their following game, a lot of them lose that following because they won the Super Bowl and have Super Bowl drought. You know what I mean? A lot of teams. So,
well, I think losing the offensive coordinator when the coaches get poached from the Super Bowl winning team, that's a big factor, like you said. Offensively, I think they're going to struggle a little bit coming out of the gate. That bodes well for the Patriots. I will say that.
And the Patriots weren't that bad. If you look at the final score in the last quarter, where everything started falling apart, but 2 or 3 mistakes, then the game goes crazy. But the Patriots were in that entire game up until the middle of the fourth quarter, beginning of the fourth. You remember
9-0 is not disastrous. They just couldn't move the ball. That's all. I mean,
and they fixed that. So I don't know, Steve. I think they can beat them. You know what I mean? I think they can beat them.
So anyway, they have 5 primetime games. The Patriots do. They have Germany. They have December 10th, I think, is a Monday night game against no, that's a Thursday. They have a Thursday night game against Minnesota. And then the following week they play at Kansas City. I think that's a primetime game too. So I have to get the whole particulars. And then the last 2 games have yet to be determined. They're playing Denver and Miami at home. I like that Denver's finally coming here. It pisses me off that we have to go there every year. Mm-hmm. So, listen, we've talked about it before. I still think that they should be a 10 or 11 win team. I don't think they're going to win 14, but 10 or 11 is realistic. And, if they have 8 or 9, it would be a disaster, I think.
Well, put me out on the record. Guess what I'm going to do? Guess what I'm going to do?
14.
14. I think they're going to win 13 or 14 games.
Okay.
And you know why? Because I think they're going to get better on the offensive line, which I'm sure what they did, they got better. I think they're going to make a splash on the wide receiver room, and that addition of the fullback is going to change the entire offensive structure on how they move the ball. And they're going to beat some games. They're going to beat some teams that are not expecting them to be hard-nosed. They're going to be a much better team this season than they were last season. And you know what? The Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel thing, what people aren't realizing is that's going to galvanize the team behind, because these guys love Mike Vrabel, and they're going to see he's bothered by it. It's going to make them all galvanize and be really behind him so he can win, because they all know, they hear the talk of Mike Vrabel being on the hot seat and being on, you know what I mean, and all this other stuff. They're going to all that does is make the team get better and come together as a whole team. So coming out the gate, remember I said this, Steve, they're going to be a much better team than people are, because everybody's picking them to win 8 games, 9 games. Nobody's picking them to win 10 games or above. I think they're going to win 14. So that's just me. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay. Listen, they have a tough schedule. Like you said, they have Seattle, they have Pittsburgh, they have Jacksonville, Buffalo. The easiest games they have are probably Vegas, the Jets, Miami. They have at Chicago. That's a tough game. They have Green Bay here. They have Denver here. And they have Detroit and Germany. And they have to go to Los Angeles and play the Chargers too.
Yeah, and you know what you're doing? You're basing off a lot, and a lot of people do this every single season. And I'm one of them. I do it every now and then. A lot of people like me and a lot like you, they base this season on how the teams played last season. You know what I mean? And what you don't account for is that every team, every single season is either going to be better, the same, or worse. You know what I mean? But a lot of times it's not the same team that you had last year. You know what I mean? Like Buffalo is going to be worse this year. Why? Because they have a new head coach, bringing in a whole new system, doing a whole different things. And from what I've seen with Buffalo, they didn't plug up any of their holes. They didn't get a whole lot of wide receivers. They're not getting things to help Josh Allen move the ball. They're going to be worse, and people are going to be shocked. Like Buffalo is going to be not just worse. I think they're going to be a lot worse than people are expecting. You know what I mean? I think Baltimore might be somewhat better, even though they didn't make the playoffs. I think Kansas City is going to be a lot better. Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be a lot worse. You know, like the teams that surprised you last year, that was so good and everything else, people are going to be ready for them. The Houston Texans, the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know what I mean? Hell, even the Chicago Bears. Those kind of teams that were really good last year and everything else. People went, okay, well, we're ready for you. And then teams that like Washington that were horrible last year, they're going to be better this year because all the injuries they had are going to shore up. You know what I mean? So you never know. Again, that's why they play the games. See, right?
I get it because Belichick said the same thing. Every year is completely different.
Yeah.
You wipe the slate clean. You have to factor in injuries for teams because, like you said about Washington, they were picked to go far again, right?
Yeah.
With Jayden Daniels, he got hurt, and then they had a whole bunch of other injuries, and they got like 6 wins. So that's definitely a factor. All right, we have a few minutes left.
Huh?
I said we have a few minutes left. Let's jump into poll questions.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. Where is my? Hold on.
Yeah, let's hurry up because I can.
Hold on.
9 o'clock.
All right, hold on. Let me find the poll questions. We had 2 this week. Where are you?
It looks like, should the Celtics trade for Giannis, and if so, which one of the Jays are you trading? Jaylen Brown, and you have Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum.
And neither. So we had 20% Jaylen Brown, 0% for Jayson Tatum, and 80% neither for.
Which is hysterical that you even put Jayson Tatum up here, but I understand why, because people are talking about it. I get it. Okay, keep going.
All right, here's the other one. Red Sox rumors swirling around Jaren Duran and Brian Bayo being traded to the Angels for Mike Trout. Would you make this deal? We had yes 100% and no 0. But 100% yes. They desperately don't want to see people wearing bags on their head.
Yeah, that's what it is.
All right, well, let's do the not what I do poll questions. All right, wait a minute. Predictions. This is what I want. Sorry. So last week you weren't here. I had predictions. Where the hell did they go? Here, they're down here. Whoop. Let's see. Another Red Sox pitcher would suffer an injury, and I said it would be Ranger Suarez because of that hamstring thing. Wrong, because he pitched tonight, so he luckily avoided the DL. Patriots would sign Stephon Diggs now that his court case is over. Wrong.
Not yet. It will.
It's wrong for this week because they didn't sign him yet. I said the Red Sox would lose more than they win, which is really a no-brainer. Ding, ding, ding. They went 2-3.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that another Bruins player would reveal that they played injured. And ding, 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 because we had, as I mentioned earlier, McAvoy with a broken hand, Pasternak with a groin injury, and Lindholm with a foot injury. And so now we are on to this week's predictions. And unfortunately, I don't have any ready. So if you have any, you can start and I'll catch up.
Okay, I'll start in saying the Red Sox are going to probably lose 75% of their games between now and next week. I think they're going to lose that. I think we're going to hear that the Celtics make a small move because they want to make a move before the draft. You know what I mean? I think they're going to make some kind of move. And I think I'll even go out on a limb and say it'll be a shocking move and it won't be involved Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And that's it for my predictions. That's what I don't have any other predictions of that. The Bruins are not doing anything. They're going to go stale. And Red Sox, I told you, Red Sox, Bruins, Patriots not going to really do too much. So, yeah, that's my predictions. What's your predictions?
I say more fans show up with bags on their heads next week for the Red Sox.
Yep, that's definitely going to happen. Put me on that prediction too. That's definitely going to happen. Matter of fact, I'm willing to bet that half the stadium will have bags on their heads between now and then too. Because they're all going to go there. Oh yeah, that's how we bothering you. Everybody put bags on their heads.
I would laugh if a ton of people like 10,000 people showed up and they all put the bags on at the same time. That would be freaking great.
Yeah, it's happening.
So we have that. I agree with you. I think the Celtics will try to do something in the next week or two. That Brad Stevens, being the magician that he is lately, there's going to be some kind of move that we don't see. And I agree that they're probably not going to trade either one of the Jays because they can't afford to.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, there's really nothing going on with the Bruins and Patriots. There's nothing going on with them either. You know what? Maybe another stupid photo this week. They keep coming in dribs or drabs. I said there's another one coming. They're going to keep coming until they run out.
I don't think they're going to come in anymore. The reason why I don't think they're going to come anymore is because the fan talk about that right now is starting to wane. You know what I mean? People are not caring less and less. And now also the schedule came out. People now are going to be talking more and more about, who the Patriots are playing, when and where, and, Monday night games, primetime games. So it won't be top of the news cycle, which is going to get it pushed out faster. Now, if the schedule hadn't dropped, I'd be like, yeah, maybe. But, schedule dropped now, people are not going to talk about Vrabel and Rossini no more. So I don't think you're going to see any more pictures. I don't think so. But we'll see. Yeah. But anyway, that's the show, right?
That's it.
All right. So thanks, Steve. I appreciate you. I'll see you in a bit.
Thanks, Frank.
All right.
Hey, everybody. This is Boston Straight Shooters. We're on every week. Be sure to catch us on YouTube channel, which we are live now, by the way. And be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you all next week.
See ya.
Peace.